We're welcome. I would like to welcome you all with us tonight. Actually, I forgot to hit that. No, forgot to hit that. I'm telling you, I will never get this straight. As long as you see me do this, I'll just simply never get this straight. I'm glad that you are here with us tonight because what we're doing is talking about eschatology. There are a lot of people that don't like me to talk about eschatology, but I talk about it anyway. It's a needful thing. It's something that we need to do. We need to understand eschatology. If you're not sure about what eschatology is, then you'll find out tonight. Just simply continue watching. I'm glad that you're with us. And my name's John Watson, by the way. I am the preacher at the... Sorry, I've got a computer over here and a computer over here, and there's like all beeping at me. So I'm trying to get all this squared away. So let's see here. What's this one telling me? Okay, there we go. I'll see what happens over there. So anyway, we are. I'm John Watson. I'm the preacher at the West Side Church of Christ in Indianapolis, Indiana. Our zip code, or I'm sorry, our address. I will get this straight. Isn't that terrible? Our address is 2675 Kentucky Avenue. That's Indianapolis, Indiana, 46221. You are welcome to come visit us. We would certainly love to have you with us, and we would certainly just welcome you in and welcome your questions, honest, legitimate questions. Anyway, so there are lots of things that we could talk about, and certainly would be willing to. And I need to do this real quick. Okay. Aside from that and the computer over there and all the stuff that's doing and the whole craziness, so I might get a little distracted by that as we get this up and going. But I do want to say hey to some people that are joining with us here tonight. I want to say hey to Bill Evans, good brother preaching the truth about eschatology and soteriology and pneumatology, I guess you would say. Hey, this brother is bringing it, and he's getting it done. So, Bill, we are very thankful for you, and awful glad to have you with us here tonight. Bill Evans, a.k.a. Milford. Stephen Whitsitt, glad to have you with us. I see Tim Ogles, glad to have you in, and wishing everyone a happy viewing here tonight. What is this deal here? My screen's really choppy. I hope everybody can see this and see it working correctly. Let's check YouTube. It's doing the same thing. I guess if I could get a little bit of feedback with this. I don't understand what's going on. Always something. Just always something. Well, let's try this one. I don't know. See, I just don't get this. Let's try this now. Well, I'll just have to keep going. Hopefully y'all can see this and hear. That's the important thing. And we'll just do the best that we can. Okay, I have a few things. Password for this, password for that. Excuse me just a moment, and I've got to try to do this here. So I don't even know what this is. How about I worry about that later? Let's do that. Okay. Okay, just bear with me, please. I do appreciate it. We'll do that. Okay, now I'm gonna let that thing do what it's gonna do. There's not a debate, a lectureship coming up August 6th through 8th in Ludington, Michigan. So we certainly love to have you on board for that. Have you come down and be with us. Lots of people, 7 or 8 preachers, preaching the truth about eschatology and making some presentations. I'm one of those. I kick things off at I think it's 6 o'clock. Hi, Bobby Allison, on Friday evening. So certainly love to have you come and be a part of that. Now, an interesting thing that has developed, and we do this every year. We invite people to check things out, obviously, but we also invite preachers to come and voice their opinion as to why we're wrong. And that's going to happen with Holger Newberer, and I think Michael Erickson is who that is. And that's going to be on Saturday afternoon, I think at 1 o'clock. So you might check that out. It's going to be very interesting. And they're still open to fill more slots. If there are preachers who are willing to come and who oppose us, the way this is going to work with Holger and Michael is, by the way, if one of you all have a copy of the flyer handy, I can't seem to find this to save my life. I put it on my timeline, and I guess something happens. But anyway, between Michael and Holger, they're going to. I know I'm awful distracted. This is just not working correctly. Something's not right here. Okay, I'm just going to have to keep going and hope it's all right. Anyway, so they're going to, I think, have like 15 minutes, something like that, to each make their case, and then they'll go around that a couple times, and then they're going to have a back and forth discussion where they get to ask questions and make points. So that's going to be really good. So you want to tune into that. That's at the Ludington Church of Christ, the Church of Christ in Ludington. And all right, let's answer another couple things. On last night, matter of fact, I haven't even checked this. So let me close this, and we're actually making progress here. So this is a good thing. Last night I made a video answering a detractor of mine who claimed that I said that preterism has only been around for 200 years. Now, it just shows their desperation. In that video, you can just go to my Facebook page and see this. And I'm not spending any time on this. They are desperate like crazy. The futurists are desperate like crazy to prove us wrong. And I think the reason they are is because they see the truth. They're just unwilling to let go of their misunderstanding and the lie that they have, and so many have bought into and believed. So you might check that out. It's on my Facebook page, and that would be. You're right, Bobby. That's true. Especially mine. All my electronics has really been way off here. So especially tonight, this is kind of crazy. Okay. So go check that out, and you can see very clearly that I did not admit that. And matter of fact, I know for a fact that preterism has been taught since after the fall of Jerusalem. And it was taught, wouldn't it be a past view? It would be a really, really getting ready to happen view in the first century. Throughout the pages of the New Testament, we see that. So I know that, and it just shows how desperate they are, because they see the truth of it. And boy, they just rail against me, and they call me a liar, and they start cussing. And by the way, I'll open up the phone lines here in a little while. But they start cussing. If that happens on the phone line, it's just done. I'm not even going there. Okay, no arguing. None of this keyboard courage stuff. If you have a legitimate question, you can ask your question, and then I get to ask you a question. I'll answer the question, and then you answer the question, and we're done. That's it. No arguing. You just ask your question, and I'll answer it, and I ask my question, and you answer it, and then we're done. So we'll do that in just a little bit. Now, I think that's about it. On the title of this, I put, am I crazy? Or did Jesus already return? Or something similar to that. I'd have to look at it and see exactly what I put. But the funny thing about this is people do think I'm crazy. Well, that's okay. I've been told that I'm nuts over lots and lots of different things. And I'm just going to have to ignore all these comments over here because that will distract me. And outside of the flashing screen here that seems to not be working right on my end. I hope you all see this well. But outside of all that stuff and all these people who are against us, they think I'm nuts. They think I'm crazy. But if you honestly look at the scriptures are very clear. You know, lots of scholars, lots of commentaries. I could probably pull one or two off of my shelf over here. Admit that people in the first century believed Jesus was going to come back. Yeah, it's just they were wrong, or Jesus was wrong, or the apostles were wrong. So people say that I'm crazy. Well, that's fine. You're wrong. Now, none of this, well, I just told you the truth and you didn't believe it. No. You can tell me whatever you want. That's different than proving it. And proving it is going to take some time. But here's the thing. I can't tell you the amount of times that I have actually had, how do we put this? Honest discussions with people. And this never, ever, ever happens online. It never happens. Because if you're one of these people that are hating on me online, you have to perform for your fellow futurists. Otherwise, if you don't, then you get in trouble with them and they think you're going soft and so forth. Well, the thing about that is when I have an honest discussion with somebody on Messenger or video call or telephone call or whatever it is, sometimes even in person, it's a lot different. And sometimes people expect me to just believe what they say because they just said it. Well, that doesn't mean a thing to me. You know, I don't care what you believe. I care what the Bible says. And if what you believe is congruent with what the Bible says, then hey, we're good. But are you willing to do that? If what I say matches up and aligns with what the Bible says, then why would you not do it? Why would you not agree that it's the truth? So most people, and I hate to say this, especially on Facebook, if you're going to judge Christianity by Facebook, nobody would ever be a Christian because the people on there do not act like Christians. You know, what is this with all these kids, young people, and really the older ones too? They just let the cuss words fly in the name of Jesus. What is wrong with you all? What on earth is wrong with you all when you think that it's okay to talk that way and it's ever been okay? You know, you need to do a little more study and a little more tempering about your language. Okay. And then here's what happens. And these are the things I'm not going to tolerate on live questions. Then you got these really stupid questions where people twist your words. If you're going to do that, that tells me and the entire audience that you're not sincere. Okay? If you're going to put words in my mouth or anyone else's for that matter, then you're not sincere. I think it's hilarious when I give people their own medicine and treat them exactly the way that they have treated me, and then they, you know, as far as twisting their words and stuff, and then when I point out to them that I just did to them what they did to me, but they're okay doing it to me, but they're not okay if somebody does that to them, you know, that's just dishonest. We're not going to have any of that. When you call in, you need to identify yourself. I tell you who I am. You don't have to give me your last name or anything. You don't have to give your address, social security number, and birth certificate. No, you don't have to do any of that stuff. But you do need to let us know who you are and what you believe by telling us where you go to church. If you're not willing to do that, you're not willing to talk. Plain and simple. You don't have to give us an address of your local congregation. Just tell us, hey, I'm a member of the Methodist Church or whatever the case is. And that saves us a tremendous amount of time in trying to figure things out. And it also gives us the information that we need to be able to ask pertinent questions. and give pertinent answers. So it works both ways. So you expect me to do that, so why would you not do that? Okay. None of this keyboard courage, Facebook annex. You're going to do one question for one question. That's it. There's a time limit. We're not going to do the whole show on this stuff. You have to identify yourself. You're going to stick to one topic. And I don't want one of these questions. If you give me a question that is one sentence with 40 questions in it, forget it. I'm not going to answer that. That's dishonest and it's not right. You wouldn't want anyone to do that to you. Just ask one question, one clear question, and you'll get the best answer that I can give. Okay? You may not agree with it, but I'll give you my answer. And there's none of this going back and forth and interrupting each other. We're going to be Christian in our decorum. And I have also put down here one caller per show, or not one call. Yeah, one. You just get one call. There you go. We'll just leave it at that. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and do this for lack of sanity. We're talking about, am I crazy or did Jesus already return? Okay, if you would like to make a comment or ask a question, and you're willing to abide by these rules, then go for it. You can call 317-626-5804. And I think I still have this up here. Of course not. Let's see. No. I've lost it somehow. Oh well. So you'll just have to listen. I'll put it in the comments here so you can 7-626-5804. Now, I will point you to a passage in Matthew chapter 10. Jesus said, "You will not finish going through the cities of Israel until the Son of Man be come." Right? That's what he said. So Jesus says, "You will not finish going through the cities of Israel until the Son of Man is come." Now, if you think that I'm crazy about this, a lot of people say, "Hey, you got to be crazy. Jesus hasn't already come." Well, let me point something out. You missed it. All right? You missed the fact that Jesus has come. 317-626-5804. Now, this is a fact. It's a fact. It's a biblical fact. And we're going to just simply go through some of these things. So let's look at Matthew chapter 10 for just a moment. In Matthew chapter 10, here's what it says. You ready for this? I'm going to start at verse 21. "Brother will betray brother to death, and father his child, and children will rise up against parents and cause them to be put to death. You'll be hated by all because of my name, but it is the one who has endured to the end who will be saved." Now, does it seem like Jesus is saying, well, the end's going to come a couple thousand years from now? Or does he say, you're going to be around when the end comes? Well, let's see. In verse 23. By the way, if you missed this is Matthew chapter 10. I just started at verse 21. I'm at verse 23. "But whenever they persecute you," who is the they? The ones who hate you. Back in verse 21, 22. "But whenever they persecute you in one city, flee to the next. For truly I say to you, you will not finish going through the cities of Israel until the Son of Man comes." What did he just say there? Now, he was already there on the planet, standing there right in front of everybody. And he's talking to them, and he's making the points to them. That's called audience relevance. Something that most futurists just really don't even consider, which is sad. Okay? I like that, Bobby. A scarecrow? That's pretty good. Back to Matthew 10. So, were they expecting Jesus to come back in their lifetime? And if they were, and I say that they were, why would they expect that? Because that is what Jesus just told them. Matthew chapter 10. Right? Okay. Get ready for this roller coaster. We're going to see what happens here. All righty, caller. You are on the air.
Matthew chapter 10. All right, let me pause mine real quick.
Yeah, you can just mute it. That'll.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, just mute it.
Okay, it's muted. Of course, this is Stephen Wissett.
Hi.
And who am I talking to?
This is John.
Oh, I am talking. Okay.
Yeah.
John, for the record, first of all, I want to make sure that people know and that you know, I have never, ever personally attacked you, used language, or tore you down. I disagreed with what you've taught and what you've taught, but you personally have never attacked. Unless you can find something that I've done or said like that, where I've said you're wrong, I'm sure you can find that, but that's it.
Oh, yeah, I can find lots of that. Okay, Stephen, what part of the rules, which you just did, is identify yourself. And we're thankful for that. You watch every week, and I'm glad. At least most weeks, anyway, unless you're busy or working or something.
Okay, so I identified myself as Stephen Wissett, and I am not attending a church, but I am attending Amherst University, which is the Church of Christ University.
So then do you identify as Church of Christ, or would you identify some other way?
I am Pentecostal by tradition.
Okay.
But I identify as interdenominational.
Well, that's interesting. Take us. What do you mean interdenominational? I'm not trying to be facetious or anything. It just
interdenominational means is that yes, we are a group of believers in churches who unify and unite with other churches. We don't care if it's Baptist, Methodist, Lutheran. We identify them all as part of the church, and we fellowship with any group that wants to be part of the fellowship.
Okay. That makes sense. That I get it. Okay. Well, so essentially, here's the way this works. You ask your question. I'll do my best to answer it. Then I get to ask you a question. Is that fair?
That's totally fair.
All right,
I play by the rules.
All righty.
One question before we go.
Okay.
Can I bring up a question from last week? Topic.
I'm game. Go ahead.
Okay. Real simple question then. You claimed so I wanted to know if you understood what the design of the inner veil was, its meaning and purpose, and what was the significance of that temple being torn in two from top to bottom in Matthew 27.
Okay. The significance, go in and sprinkle the blood. After so many years after the Egyptian Babylonian captivity, the ark disappears. So it's no longer in the most holy place. Veil was torn from top to bottom. I think that it was illustrating there's nothing in there. God's not in here anymore. His ark, his power, the old covenant is not in here anymore. None of those things are in here anymore. I think it was illustrative of the fact that the second Exodus was taking place and the way was being opened, and which we see through the rest of the New Testament. That's what I think. In a nutshell.
Do I get to respond to
that? If you can make it brief.
Yeah, I can make it brief.
Okay.
If it is sin that separates us from God, then the veil, and according to Hebrews, is represented by his flesh. And it was through his flesh that we entered into heaven. And that
Hebrews
flesh,
12.
of course, we're talking about the blood that was shed on the cross. So if that is what that is signifying, is that the blood of Christ has been shed, and now the way into heaven has been opened, as you said it was heaven, then that means what? That the way into heaven is now open because of Christ?
Well, today it is, absolutely.
Oh, no, he said this is true before 70 AD. Because remember, you just said that it was torn down when he died.
And I said it was showing that heaven was being opened. Okay, so the way I see things, just to help you with this a little bit, the way I see things is heaven, Jesus being the first fruits, right? He's the first one to be resurrected. And he ascends into heaven. This is the beginning of the process. But according to the feasts, and I think that everything relies on these feasts here. But this is the way God illustrated the physical point was about the spiritual things. I'm sorry, let me say that again. He illustrated the spiritual point with a physical thing, and he did it for 1,500 years or more through the feasts. And when you see these feasts, it illustrates just the timeline of events. I don't know how detailed I want to get into this, but it illustrates the timeline of events of the way things were going to take place. Jesus being the first fruits, that's 1 Corinthians 15. And he was the first fruits. He went into heaven, but no one else could go in until the atonement was made. Once the atonement was made, then you had the Feast of Booths after that, and then the Eighth Day celebration. So you had those last three feasts all within 3 weeks. So the trumpet blows. That's the sounding of the seventh trumpet that we see in 1 Corinthians 15. Then you have the atonement being made. We know what the atonement is. And then you have the celebration when the high priest comes out and he announces God, Yahweh, has accepted the sacrifice, and that's the atonement. And then you have that Eighth Day celebration, which we today live in, right? Not everybody, but those who choose to join. And then that's the ongoing thing. Once Jesus was the one-time sacrifice, there didn't need to be any more sacrifices. It all ended. That's the way I see it.
Okay. See, I agree. You said that the inner Holy of Holies represented heaven.
Yeah.
A high priest, the new high priest.
Hey, Stephen.
Yes.
I don't have very good volume. I've got my phone all the way up. I don't know if... Can you turn up the phone on the other end?
Well, I did. I just did it a little bit more. So is that better?
Sounds a little better.
Okay. All right. You said, and I agree, that heaven, the Holy of Holies represented heaven. And in Hebrews it says the veil represented Christ. And by his blood, we could enter into the Holy of Holies. Now, you said that you believe that the ark, it was to show that the ark wasn't there, so God wasn't there anymore. So if the barrier, which is sin, is what kept us away from God, and that barrier has been torn down by God himself from top to bottom, then that means God came out of the Holy of Holies. It doesn't require Jesus to come out to see that the sacrifice, because just as you said, it was a one-time sacrifice. See, the earthly priests have to continue making the sacrifices to cover sins each year. But when God came out, that meant there was no more need for any more sacrifices, because Christ took care of it and ended the law that required sacrifices.
Right.
Secondly, when Jesus became our high priest after the order of Melchizedek, and not according to the law of Moses, then therefore the law of Moses has been abrogated, and no more sacrifices are needed. So there's no way that people continue to offer sacrifices because it's not needed. And so God would not require the Jews to continue sacrificing. So if God came out of that Holy of Holies, and that's what that signifies, then that means the sacrifice of his blood, the atoning sacrifice of his blood on the cross, was sufficient for salvation and accepted, because instead of needing to come back out year after year, God himself came out. Do you understand that principle?
I understand what you're saying. I disagree with your timeline, obviously, by about 40 years. Mm-hmm. And here's the reason why. First, and I appreciate you being good about this, I want to say about your opening remarks there, Stephen has opposed us, okay? He's opposed us, no question. But he's always been pretty good about it. So sometimes he gets a little edgy.
I'll let it go at that.
All right.
One question. Did you have a question for me?
Yeah. How do you... let me see. How would I state this? How would you explain why everybody that writes about eschatology or the coming of the Lord or the second coming of the Lord expects it to happen in their lifetime. Why is that? Within that generation.
Because he told them no one knows when he's going to come. They said what? In Acts 1, when they saw him take off and leave, and the angel was standing there, he said to them, men of Galilee, why do you stand looking at this Jesus? Not some other Jesus, not clouds, not chariots, or anything else. This Jesus, who is taken up from you into heaven, will come in the same way as you saw him go into heaven. So that means he'll come out of heaven. That's a plain, simple statement. So why would they not expect him to come in their lifetime? Why wouldn't they? But that doesn't mean necessarily that he did, right?
If he told it, okay, let me say this real quick. If he told them, doesn't this just make sense? If he said, I'm going to go to the store and I'm coming back. You'll be here when I come back, right? Would they expect him? Would he expect them to be there? And when he comes back, and would they expect that they should be there when he comes back? Well, yeah. I mean, that's just the way. It's the way it works.
Okay. Can I use another scripture to prove my point?
Well, let me finish. Let me finish here, okay? So keep that thought in mind.
Right? Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so that's the same language that he used. You're going to be here when I come back. You're going to see this take place. You will witness these events. That's what he was saying. And now, so my thought is, if Jesus says something, I'm just going to believe it. That's the biggest reason that I gave up on the futurist arguments.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Then lose my thought because I'm trying to do two things here at once.
I know. I do the same thing.
Yeah. It hurts when you do that.
I know it.
See, I come from the position, and I've stated, and a lot of other scholars are saying the same thing, is that the Olivet was completely filled in 70 AD, and we've had that discussion before.
I lost my train of thought. In that day, his feet will stand on the Mount of Olives, which is in front of Jerusalem on the east, and on the Mount of Olives, which is split in its middle from the east to the west by a very large valley. So you've got valley, or is this a spiritual representation? If we